Welcome, Spiritual Mag. My name's Sam Bell, and today we are going to seriously focus on a call from the threshold. A call from the threshold. But first, I have to make a disclaimer. I'm functioning as a citizen journalist here, a retired speech and language pathologist, and I know for sure that the topic I'm bringing up here is very real. So I won't be. I'm not going to try to disguise my feelings and my understanding about it, but I will use a vocabulary that is suitable for everyone to at least ponder, because we're talking about a call from the threshold. Okay, today is June 3rd. June 3rd, 2025. And we're actually going to be focusing on the coming of the space family. And we will be focusing on Elena Danaan and the unveiling of suppressed history by Sam Bell. So this is a big deal. Now, okay, a call from the threshold. What's, the threshold? Well, do you have an upper threshold and lower threshold? And at the moment in June, there's historical things happening globally, from volcanic stuff to people, nations failing to find peace. So as we approach this globally significant scheduled for November 8th and 9th, 2025, at the Dubai Zabel Theater, featuring Elena Danaan, we must prepare ourselves, not just as spectators of an extraordinary phenomenon, but as active participants in a monumental threshold crossing. Elena Danaan, a former French archaeologist and contactee, is a human emissary to interstellar civilizations, transmitting guidance from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. This is not just epistemic orientation. The question must now be raised: what happens when thousands, perhaps millions on Earth witness a coordinated demonstration of UFOs and off planet beings while the mainstream media continues to maintain a calculated silence? Hmm? Well, there is historical amnesia and historical silencing of contact. It's no coincidence that the societies most saturated with mass media are also those most cut off from their cosmic memory. As any clinician will confirm, neurological damage affecting memory centers, such as the hippocampus, can create severe disorientation, even when core linguistic functions remain intact. Humanity, in a similar fashion, exhibits global aphasia of memory. The capacity for language remains, but the content, the historical narrative of contact is fractured, stifled, or outright erased. From the Dogon of Mali, who charted the Sirius B centuries before modern telescopes, to the Vimanas in the Vedic tradition and the Nazca lines etched in Peru's desert floor. Evidence abounds. Material evidence, linguistic evidence, cultural, that human civilizations have long been aware of and possibly evolving with, co evolving with non terrestrial intelligence. You got to admit it. These data points are not speculative, they are archaeolinguistic artifacts suggesting high order communication and cognitive abstraction interfacing with intelligence beyond Earth. Consider the Hebrew Macabre mystics, the Book of Enoch. From a clinical linguistic lens, one notes the consistency of lexicon and visual symbology across widely dispersed cultures, suggesting common experiential reference, a shared lived encounter with what we would now label extraterrestrial beings. Yet, the dominant semiotic structures of modern media and academia functioned like pathological inhibitory circuits, suppressing the aroused response that should be elicited by such stimuli. Instead of awe, we experience dismissal. Instead of investigating, we perform ridicule. In neurological terms, one might say the reticular activating system, that gatekeeper of consciousness attention, is being manipulated through algorithmic sedation. Uh-huh. Yes, just watch it and relax. Elena Danan, an emissary amid institutional aphasia. Ooh, good morning, everybody. When Elena Danan steps into this vacuum of consciousness with an audacity that some find unbelievable, others liberating. Elena Danan's work is notable for its high fidelity to complex cosmologies, many of which include consistent phonotactic patterns, cultural taxonomies, and multimodal communications. Evidence of authentic encoding, not mere fabrication. Her account is not a straightforward narrative of personal experience, but rather a living corpus of ontological and linguistic data, validated through phenomenological consistency across other experiences. Just to interject here, Dan Willis, he's at marcelvogel.org. He's going to be able to follow up on all this with more than you can believe. It's all there. Yet, while her online audience grows into the hundreds of thousands, mainstream media remains silent, or worse, patronizing. This schism, and it is a schism, highlights a profound existential divide. Whether the future will be shaped by top down epistemic authority or by grassroots post media gnosis, what do you think is going to happen? Its philosophical implications What happens when the curtain falls? Okay, everybody's sitting there, looking up at the sky, and you see something, and you know it's something, and you start wondering, then you see more, and you go, "Holy mackerel!" On a global scale, okay, all the different religions seeing it, right? So, what happens when the curtain fails? If the demonstrations promised at the Dubai Zabel Theater transpire as foretold, if actual craft or beings reveal themselves in synchronicity with Elena Danan's presentation, we are no longer dealing with belief systems, but with paradigm rupture. This rupture, a term used in scientific and philosophical discourse to describe a radical shift in understanding or perception, would fundamentally alter our understanding of the universe and our place within it. Holy moly. And from a philosophical perspective, this moment echoes Kant's Copernican revolution when the Earth ceased to be the center of the cosmos, not just physically, but epistemologically. Post contact, we must reconstruct ethics, reconstruct metaphysics, and even reconstruct language acquisition under the premise that Homo sapiens are not the sole moral agent in this universe. What do you know? Consider the Cartesian axiom I think, therefore I am. Well, what if I is no longer singular? What if being itself is distributed across biological, cybernetic, and light encoded intelligence? Then thinking becomes a choral act, not a solo. It is no longer just the internal monologue of a human mind, but a polyphonic dialogue among stellar species, each with its own sentient grammar. This raises questions about moral proximity, kinship, and care. In hospice work, where language often reverts to the primal touch and tone and breath, we learn that communication is not merely data exchange, but a matter of presence. If we are to meet our space family, we must begin by practicing presence, by becoming more coherent fields of resonance, by becoming more coherent fields of resonance, not fragmented vessels of fear. Ways to prepare from pathology to presence. One, urgency of linguistic readiness and telepathic hygiene. We must cultivate linguistic plasticity and telepathic hygiene. If contact occurs across modalities, including dreamscapes, energetic impressions, or direct neural streaming, we must train ourselves to recognize, decode, and filter nonlinear communication. And it can be done through symbol journaling, recording nonverbal impressions upon awakening, or meditative entrainment, alpha theta coherent states. Intentional breath work coupled with phonemic vocalizations, toning, overtone, chanting, and exposure to constructed languages as a form of neuroplastic exercises. These practices prime the angular gyrus and supramarginal gyrus, regions responsible for language integration and cross-modal sensory mapping. Another is the necessity of ethical grounding and empathic expansion. This is not a suggestion, it's a necessity. Ethical grounding, empathic expansion. From a philosophical and clinical standpoint, the most vital preparation is ethical coherence. We must ask, what do I radiate? For higher order beings, resonance precedes speech. Contact is not granted to those in cognitive disarray or moral incoherence, not because of punishment, but because of vibrational mismatch. Daily practices for ethical calibration. Now, these are daily. Gratitude recitation as a semantic reset. Nonviolent communication practices. Hospice style presence of training. Listening without solving. Sitting with the discomfort. Honoring transition. So, historical recovery as a collective therapy. That's what's going to happen. It's like a big boom when it happens. Just as in aphasia therapy, we assist patients in retrieving and reconstructing language networks. Humanity must engage in collective mnemonic therapy, recovering the suppressed threads of our cosmic story. Recommended approaches: study of ancient contact lore, the Dogon, Hopi, Zulu, Vedic, and Egyptian traditions. Participation in archaeospiritual pilgrimages. Journeys to ancient sites with reverence and inquiry. Dialogues with elders and experiencers to restore oral transmission pathways. In doing this, we affirm that history is not linear but fractal, and forgotten truths can be reclaimed in the now. So, when you think about the functional silence in mainstream media, okay, so one must not underestimate the calculated silence of global media conglomerates. From a linguistic pathologist's lens, this silence operates as a semantic lesion, a region where meaning generation has ceased, even in the presence of clear stimuli. The public is exposed to repetitive, emotionally blunted content, while genuine anomalies are dismissed or deflected. This is not accidental. It is akin to learned non-responsiveness, an outcome of prolonged exposure to manipulated narratives. The real antidote is semantic awakening, the rediscovery of self-generated meaning, which resists imposed interpretation. Elena Danan's event in Dubai offers a counter linguistic field, a space in which truths may be spoken aloud, synchronized with physical phenomena. This bypasses the cortex and resonates in the limbic and enteric systems, enabling cellular knowing. So now, the future, you know, what's going to happen after the curtain falls? Should the Dubai event trigger widespread contact or even a shift in collective perception, future historians will not date the new era by wars or treaties, but by this moment when Earth's inhabitants rejoined the cosmic dialogue. In In the immediate wake of such an event, speech and language pathologists, ethicists, philosophers, caregivers, and shamans will become the new diplomats, not through authority, but through capacity to translate, to hold, to midwife new forms of meaning. Just as in hospice care, we help the dying speak less words or find comfort in touch when words fail, so too we must prepare to receive the first utterances of the space family and not answer merely with vocabulary, but with virtue. So here we are, poised on the edge of sound. Elena Danan's presence in Dubai, if it unfolds as promised, will not simply be a spectacle. It will be a semantic event, the birthing of long dormant archetypes, the re-threading of humanity's neural map with the stars. History, like speech, begins again with intention. Let us enter this threshold not as skeptics or believers, but as learners with our ears tuned, our hearts coherent, and our ethics grounded in care. The family we are about to meet is not arriving to save us, but to remind us who we are. Let us speak well when they arrive. You and all your loved ones are always in my prayers. Samuel Joseph Bell, civilian journalist, spiritualmag.org.